Good day and welcome to SCO BRICS Insight, where we talk about what's really going on in the world of the BRICS. Now, as you're all aware, Russia has been subjected to what was known as the shock and awe sanctions thought up by the idiots and the clowns who inhabit the corridors of power in Washington, Brussels and London. Now, these so-called world leaders continue to come up with more sanctions. And anybody can see that now we're on the 14th round of sanctions. These are a vivid display of their impotence. And given that all the previous sanctions have been largely ineffective, and some have actually boomeranged back on the EU in particular. So, as usual, the Russian authorities have come up with a new and clever solution to a problem that's been caused by the Western sanctions, and particularly for its banking and finance sector. Now, most of you are aware that the Russian banks were cut off from the SWIFT system. That's the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. And that's the main system where banks communicate worldwide and transfer to each other, as each bank has a unique code and is able to act. It's basically a messaging service that goes back to the days of the telex machine. Now, what is new and clever solution that Russia has come up with? Well, the Russian authorities are considering a proposal to allow foreign banks who are not associated with unfriendly countries to open up branches in Russia. We're not talking about full banks, but branches of foreign banks. So effectively we're talking about the BRICS or SCO members, particularly China, India, United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia and Iran from BRICS, and from countries like the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan. Now, this initiative is supported by all the participants involved in finance in Russia, including the Deputy Chairman of the Central Bank, Alexei Guznov, who told Izvestia that these measures could come into effect as early as the autumn of 2024. Now, the head of the State Duma Committee on Financial Markets, Anatoly Sakov, he said the same deadline. He said the Ministry of Finance has submitted a bill with this proposal to the government in the first week of July, and despite the long-standing prohibition on the opening of branches by foreign credit institutions in Russia, this situation has now changed. Now, this new innovation will be able to facilitate cross-border payments, avoiding the sanctions, and simplify the opening of accounts in foreign banks for Russian businesses, which will encourage and make import substitution a whole lot easier. Now, before I continue, I'd like to make an appeal. If you like and enjoy my videos, you can help me fund the channel on my website, scobricsinsight.com, and help me fund it. You can do this by making a small donation, which you can do by clicking on the thanks button at the bottom of the screen. Now, anybody and everybody who donates does get a personal thank you from me. Now, all the participants involved in the discussion have agreed that foreign financial institutions not involved with unfriendly states should be allowed to open branches in Russia, according to Gruzov of the Central Bank. He said that the final details do need to be sorted out, but this work is currently underway and it will be expedited in the shortest possible time, as it's a high priority, particularly because of its potential impact on the Russian economy. He said, "We're making every effort to ensure that this bill is submitted to the Duma in the near future. This topic is important." We know that. Now, Guzov stated that the bill is likely to be introduced as a government measure, which means it's much more likely to pass quickly. And he's also indicated that it's expected to be enacted before the end of this year. I mean, the proposal was also proposed by Sakov. He stated that the State Duma will start the deliberations during the up-and-coming session. So that all sounds pretty promising, that the things are really going to make happen. Now, this was also confirmed to Izvestia, and this innovation is aimed at expanding the cooperation and creating joint investment projects with countries that are close partners of Russia. I mean, let's look back in time to 2014, when there was a complete ban introduced on the opening of branches by foreign credit institutions in Russia. At that time, Vladimir Putin excluded the concept of branches from the definition of the banking system through its legislative means. I mean, the rationale for that was that these structures could not be fully controlled by the Russian financial regulators, and they were not required to meet capital reserve standards or report fully to the Bank of Russia. I mean, this could have provided competitive advantages to foreign players in the market. And prior to this, the ban on opening of foreign branches existed at the level of a departmental resolution of the Central Bank of Russia. I mean, some foreign players occasionally operated through branches, but that wasn't a popular solution. I mean, in 2006, the Kazakh Helik Bank opened a branch, but that didn't last long because it wasn't making any money. That's despite it being one of the largest banks and a close neighbour of Russia. However, following the introduction of the ban operating in the Russian market, foreign credit institutions were required to establish subsidiaries that were fully subject to Russian legislation and operate under the control of the central bank. Now, obviously, the situation since 2013 has seriously changed. And I mean, the restrictions now on international payments and the risk of secondary sanctions that have been in effect since 2022. Even partners or friendly countries in Russia are a little wary of investing in the Russian financial sector because of the risk of being subject to the vindictive secondary sanctions of the US. However, opening a branch requires much less investment, much less paperwork, much less legalities, and it allows for the entire range of trade settlements. At the same time, the Bank of Russia's control tools have improved significantly over the past 11 years. Consequently, the risk of losing control is reduced to pretty much a minimum, while facilitating international settlements for Russian businesses has become a key priority. Also, branches of foreign banks will help make cross-border payments without the need for unnecessary intermediaries as occurs now through the SWIFT system. Now, I believe that the transaction costs and the increase in speed of operations is going to be such a benefit, and this solution will simplify things like parallel imports, which will give impetus to the development of domestic businesses. I mean, it'll also be useful in many areas, including the market for all sorts of equipment and the sales of raw materials. I mean, in 2022, the largest Russian banks were disconnected from SWIFT. Furthermore, the EU sanctions of 14th of June prohibited European organisations from connecting to the SWIFT version, the financial messaging system, the Russian system. Also, since the end of 2023, the West has intensified the monitoring of compliance with these restrictions, which have led to difficulties of Russian businesses in making payments to banks in China, Kazakhstan, Turkey and United Arab Emirates. I mean, domestic credit institutions are unable to provide certain services due to sanctions. So the opening of branches with limited functions in Russia by foreign players could significantly simplify the international settlements for Russian companies, and that's according to Valery Privin, who's managing director of the ratings group ACRA. I mean, for instance, domestic businesses would be able to open accounts in foreign banks easily, and that would help avoid the problems of the parent company having a personal presence. Also, with the Chinese banks in Russia, they can introduce their clients to Alipay and WeChat Pay, which are used for payments all across China and by most companies. And given the level of the yuan ruble trading, the Russian market is pretty liquid. For the Iranian banks, it's the Shitab system, which already works in Russia. The Indians can also use the rupee, which is based on rupees, and it can work. I mean, given the volumes of trade between Russia and the countries of the BRICS, this new innovation is a serious game changer, and it slips under the radar of the US Treasury. I mean, for example, it's likely that only the second-tier Chinese banks are likely to be involved, and they do very little, if any, business with the USA, so they're not going to be frightened off by this threat of secondary sanctions. It's the same for the number of Indian banks that will be delegated to this by the Indian Central Bank. Iran has its payment system that's compatible with Russia. That's not a problem. Plus, the UEA and the Saudi banks, I don't think are going to be scared, as none of the transactions are actually going to be visible as they take place in non-US or EU currencies. So the SCO countries are already used to dealing in Russia with rubles, tenge and other local currencies, so that's not a problem either. I mean, according to Yaroslav Kabakov, who's a strategic director at Finam Investment, there's other positive aspects coming from this. I mean, for example, he says it will help attract additional resources and modern technologies to the Russian economy. I mean, he estimates that such an innovation could increase capital inflow to Russia by 15 to 20 billion per year. Kabakov also believes that competition in the banking sector will increase, and this could result in lower interest rates on loans and easier access to financing for small and medium-sized businesses. However, there is a risk that some foreign banks will be wary of sanctions, but they might not be in a hurry to open branches. However, on the other hand, credit institutions from countries with strong economic ties to Russia, such as China, India, the CIS countries will probably be more than happy to enter the Russian market. I mean, once this bill is adopted in the near future, the first branches should appear in Russia by the end of this year or early next year, according to the analyst. I mean, in my opinion, I think it's very likely, perhaps certain, that banks from China, India and the Middle East will be opening new structures in Russia. And Maxim Zakharov, who's a partner at the law firm Bishanov and Partners, agrees with me. So he added that these are the countries that are seeking to expand their presence internationally, and particularly in the financial markets. Plus, the growing levels of trade between the BRICS partners is going to be another lucrative source of business for them, so they'll be looking at that. Plus, as it doesn't touch SWIFT or any of the Western system, it's under the radar of those who would seek to impose secondary sanctions, which is a major benefit. So, as we see yet again, Russia's found another way to circumvent the so-called shock and awe sanctions imposed by the West and continues to prosper. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and if you enjoyed this video, please help me fund the channel and the website SCO-BRICS Insight.com by clicking on the thanks button and making a small donation. Thank you.